I am joined now by Marco Pignone. He's an attorney with Getson and Schatz PC. Thank you so much for joining us. We're talking about the routes to achieve permanent employment-based residence in the U.S. that vary from the standard process. You'll be talking about that at the meetings. But what is the standard perm labor certification process, and how long does that typically take?
Sure. In order to get a green card, a scientist in the U.S. is looking at a couple of different options, primarily a permanent labor certification case, which would be filed by a company, or they could self-petition in what are called the EB-1A and NIW, or EB-1 and EB-2 categories, in which they can self-petition. And so the permanent labor certification and the self-petition both lead to the same result, which is a green card. To do a permanent labor certification, an employer has to file the petition for the immigrant scientist. And that requires them to advertise the position in very specific ways that are prescribed by law and regulations. And if someone who already has a green card or who is a U.S. citizen who meets what are called the minimum qualifications for the job applies, the permanent labor certification will fail, and the immigrant scientist will not get a green card on that basis.
So can you give us a shortened version maybe of some of the routes available that could potentially reduce the waiting time?
Sure. So frequently a company will not file a perm case for a year or 2 years after someone starts to work for the company, and then that process takes additional time. And many immigrants want to change jobs, or there are jobs that require a green card that they'd like to apply for before 2 or 3 years after they graduate with their PhD. So there are certain things that you can do to increase your odds of winning the green card through a self-petition. So the single most important factor is the number of citations to your scientific journals, papers in scientific journals. And then there are other factors that are very important, such as if you have a patent that's commercialized, that's a huge positive factor. If you've won certain awards that require outstanding achievement, or if you belong to certain organizations that require outstanding achievement for all of its members. There are other factors, but that's a very brief summary. And if you have high enough qualifications, you can self-petition as early as before you graduate with your PhD, but more frequently after you graduate with your PhD. And if you can get a green card earlier in your career, that opens up your job opportunities significantly.
So that is something that the scientists can do to optimize or increase their chances of success. Tell me a little bit about, because I know you have a booth here, a career booth at the career fair, I should say, where you'll be performing some free resume reviews for immigration consultations. So what exactly can people expect when they go to that booth?
Sure, I find that a lot of people, even those who have graduated and already have their PhD, often haven't looked at their immigration situation carefully. They don't understand their options, they don't understand the timeline, and if they don't get a good consultation with an attorney who understands their specific situation, they often will not know exactly when they need to take certain actions to maximize their chances of getting a green card and not having to leave the U.S. at some point. So I look at their resume, and depending on which stage they are in their career, I give them advice, and depending on whether they want to go into academia or whether they want to go to work in the private sector, we'll make sure that they have a plan A and a plan B in case plan A doesn't work out.
And if for some reason people still want more information, they can reach you at the website, correct?
Sure. Our website is researchergreencard.com. We give free consultations year-round, and you can go onto our website and make a consultation with Mr. Getson, Brian Getson, who is the lead attorney at our office, and it'll go straight to his calendar. And could I mention that I'm giving a speech on Tuesday at 2:45, as well as giving free consultations at the career fair.
Okay, wonderful. Marco Pignone, thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us. MRS TV has all the coverage you want with the big newsmakers. Be sure to check out our content, which is updated each day here on YouTube from the 2019 MRS Spring Meeting here in Phoenix.